very innovative in Denmark, have a lot of design companies and are extremely innovative. It's because of our culture. And also because of the hierarchy in different organizations. And Christian is going to talk a little bit about that before I take you into the case and actually the legislation why data-driven marketing with a hard legislation actually is a gift, I think.
Right, so what I found really interesting when I was going to present to you today is that corporate culture that we have apparently does something that means that we win so many prizes. So I'm going to speak to you a little bit about that. And I can do it in 2 ways. I can either give you my experience as a marketeer for 10 years, living in 3 different countries, having an English wife, and now managing people from around the world. But I thought the other side I could do was take a bit of an academic approach and taking Hofstede. How many of you are familiar with Hofstede? Hofstede, cultural economics? No. I'm going to do both today. I'm just going to go a little bit into who is it that win all these awards. Number 1 is New Zealand. New Zealand beats us by far, but we're still number 2 in the winning scene. So I had a little look at what is it that we share, or do we share anything with New Zealand? So I went into a little research by this guy Hofstede, and I saw that New Zealand and Denmark share a low power distance. Now why is that interesting? That is interesting because when you go through these various points, you'll see that, for instance, hierarchy is established for convenience, superiors are always accessible. In Denmark, we have very much open offices, so people sit around each other, both the managers and with their employees and their friends. And both managers and employees expect to be consulted, and information is shared frequently. Communication is informal, direct, and participant. So I then did a little research on my own, saying, okay, let me ask some of my marketeers friends. I did a research for 12 marketeers, asking them what they think that made a difference, that we win all these prizes. And they came up with 2 things after I asked them, and that is empowerment of employees and low hierarchy. Well, taking that further, I did some interviews with 2 marketeers that have been absolutely one of the best at winning prizes. As a Nicholas, CMO for SAS Airline, I did research, did some interview with him, and also Selina Branner from IBM. They both won prizes several times. Well, when I asked them, they all came up with 3 things that's very interesting. Employees want and expect to get involved. Ideas can come from anyone tap in with ideas. And employees challenge normality and therefore create great results. So that leads me to the next. The corporate culture, very low power distance, empowerment of employees, low hierarchy, less authority, means involvement of employees, ideas come from employees, and challenge normality. Now I'm just going to dip a little bit into what it was they said. I'm just going to explain a little bit more about why I came out with these 3 cultural impacts. And take you to the empowerment of employers. It goes lower level employees are allowed to make decisions and therefore enabling them to act quickly with more context. That's a cultural trademark. Moving further with the impacts of the winning companies, they all said, for instance, employees are involved in the brief. Christian comes in and says, typically we start with a workshop where everyone is expected to give input. The decision for the briefs made by lower level management after the debate with the specialist. He goes in here and saying, it is when we challenge each other and debate with each other that we come up with the best solution. There's no involvement of top management. They trust the decision, even though the impact can come to high consequences. Selina also mentioned that we involve many of the employees and the customers, so everyone knows what we're going to do. Moving on to the next, low hierarchy. Creative ideas can come from anyone. Employees are encouraged to speak up and not sitting quietly. The ideas are created from various employees and can occur unexpected. Christian then turns on to an example when one of the employees came up with a great solution about flying miles. So that came up with a magical concept very fast, and it was totally unexpected, but just came out of the blue. Salina goes on, we, the things employees, want to be part of the solution. And that means that we often are more creative in our solution, we have great innovation, and more often than other times, we show great results to top management surprise. Well, the last one is less boring. So the cultural trademark here, company culture values employees who question decision and who challenge accepted norms. Employees challenge the decision through the process, and sometimes that means that they no longer get the best, or it takes longer to get the perfect brief result. And as Christian comes in and mentioned here, it's sometimes it takes longer to get the brief right because of disagreement. So it's okay to be an employee and not being thinking it's the right decision that the manager says, but you can argue your own course and you can actually get your points through to him. Salina comes in with a quote here saying, the Nordic region of Denmark is seen as a political problem region that doesn't just follow orders. The Danish employees want to be involved in the decision and therefore don't just follow orders, to the frustration of the headquarters. However, we close the deal faster and new products can rise in other countries. So one of the things is that things are brought up with debating and questioning on things. My own experience is when I was studying in Hawaii, Pacific University, it was very evident that when the teacher said something and came out with some conclusions, the only sort of people there that were questioning it or debating it was the people from Scandinavia. So it was very evident here when I dig into these results that we question more than others, I think. So moving on, what does that mean in terms of winning prizes? Well, I believe that higher involvement of employees will create you better ideas. And when everyone is accepted or expected to give input, more over than a lot of the times, it'll give you better impact on the campaigns.
Thank you. I'm going to walk down here because I'm going to ask you also some questions. Try to involve you a bit here. Because this is both compared to the legislation, but also compared to the extremely small database that we have. So again, what would you do if you only got a database with 25,000 customers with a local market share of 40%? I mean, what impact would that have to your marketing? You come to me, I did